In France, massive protests have taken place for several days now, with numerous individuals hitting the streets to demonstrate. These protests have been significant, with millions of people expressing their frustration with the French government across various cities. The main catalyst behind the unrest is the decision made by France's President Macron to increase the minimum age for pensions from 62 to 64. Unsurprisingly, a significant number of individuals in France were displeased with this choice. However, for most, it may not seem like a crucial matter. Nevertheless, this is not entirely accurate. When examining the rationale behind the pension reform, it becomes evident that there is a substantial underlying issue at play. France is currently experiencing a significant population decline, which poses a severe problem. In this video, we will delve into how the situation came to be and the severity of the issue. France's pension reforms. Starting with the pension reforms in France, the situation highlights the issues posed by the population decline, not only in France but also in Europe as a whole. Similar to many other European countries, the French government operates a mandatory state pension system, which involves taxing working individuals to provide pensions for retirees. This pension scheme plays a significant role in France's broader social security system, which is enormous in size. In fact, the government spends approximately 15% of France's entire GDP on this system. The social security system in France offers several benefits, including free healthcare and state pensions for all citizens. However, it is unfortunately not a sustainable solution in the long term. The French government has been operating on a budget deficit, where it spends more than it collects in taxes. A quick look at this chart indicates the issue at hand. France's debt as a percentage of GDP has been consistently increasing over the years, implying that the government's debt is growing at a faster rate than the country's overall economy. This situation is unsustainable as the debt will eventually reach unhealthy levels. To prevent the situation from escalating, the French government is exploring options to reduce spending. One of the areas that can be targeted is the social security system, which consumes 15% of the country's GDP, a massive expense that the government can no longer afford, given the current debt figures. To tackle this issue, President Macron has proposed raising the minimum pension age by 2 years. This move is expected to alleviate the financial strain on the system and potentially solve the problem. Now, let us examine the root issue of France's inability to support its social security system. The program was not designed to cause a budget deficit. It was based on the concept that working taxpayers could always provide for retirees. However, this is no longer feasible. France's tax revenue is insufficient to sustain the system, and the country faces a critical concern. Therefore, it is essential to redesign the system to ensure its sustainability and support the aging population. France's median age is rapidly increasing as shown in this chart, which has significant implications for its social security system. Currently, the median age is approximately 42, indicating that around half of the population is above 42 years old. This demographic shift has resulted in more elderly retirees and fewer tax-paying individuals of working age, creating a severe imbalance in the system. In the 1960s, France had 4 workers for each retiree, but that figure has plummeted to 1.7 workers per retiree, which implies that there are fewer people to tax and more retirees for the government to support financially. Due to France's demographic shifts, its social security system is experiencing annual deficits, with only 1.7 workers for every retiree. It is becoming increasingly difficult for the system to remain sustainable. It is unrealistic for 17 workers to support the pensions of 10 retirees. To address this issue in the short term, raising the retirement age could potentially reduce the number of retirees and increase the number of workers. How did the French react to this decision? As we have observed, the proposed pension reforms have stirred widespread opposition in France, as millions of citizens protested it, resulting in violent clashes with the police and street fires. However, France is not alone in this predicament, as other European countries such as Germany, the United Kingdom, Italy, and Spain are also grappling with similar challenges. Europe as a whole is aging rapidly, which is the underlying cause of these issues, just like in France, and is likely to lead to significant problems. To delve deeper into Europe's demographic challenges, it is crucial to examine the fertility rate, which indicates the average number of babies per woman. Maintaining a stable population requires an average of 2.1 births per woman in most developed countries. Unfortunately, the 2021 fertility rate in Europe is only 1.53, indicating a significant decline. This decline is illustrated in a chart displaying Europe's historic fertility rate. Europe's fertility rate has remained below the replacement level of 2.1 for several decades, which is a significant cause for concern. With a current fertility rate of 1.5 births per woman, each generation is projected to shrink by 25%. The impact of this demographic shift is further compounded by an aging population, which could potentially lead to the collapse of critical systems. We will explore the reasons for this trend later, but it is essential to recognize the gravity of the situation at hand. Consider France's situation as an example of a larger issue in Europe. The problem is that there is an imbalance between the number of elderly people and the number of working-age individuals who can support the pension system. This issue is prevalent throughout Europe and is related to the old age dependency ratio, which is the proportion of people over 65 compared to those under 65. When elders depend on the young. The demographic crisis in Europe can be seen in the old age dependency ratio, which refers to as the proportion of people aged 65 and over to those under 65. This ratio is rapidly increasing across Europe as shown on the chart, and reached 33% in 2022. This means that for every elderly person above 65, there are only 3 people below that age. Unfortunately, the situation is expected to worsen as time goes on, with the old age dependency ratio projected to reach 57% in 2100. This means that there will be less than 2 younger people for every elderly person in Europe. The aging population of Europe has the potential to lead the collapse of various systems, including pension, healthcare, and financial systems. Other people tend to work less than younger people, retire early, and require more financial and social support. The average retirement age in Europe is 64 years old, which means retirees are no longer contributing to the economy but are instead relying on pensions and using resources such as healthcare. In France, the pension system is struggling due to a lack of young people to support it, as the government needs taxes from those under 65 to fund pensions for retirees. To maintain a healthy economy and support the needs of the elderly population, Europe needs a younger workforce, driving the economy forward. The same problem applies to the healthcare system in Europe. To operate a functional healthcare system, doctors and nurses are needed, and most of the time, these people are under the age of 65. However, as we've seen, Europe has a rapidly increasing old age dependency ratio, with only around 3 people under 65 for every retiree, soon to be 2. This puts a lot of financial burden on the younger population to provide for the healthcare needs of the elderly. The aging European population is having a detrimental effect on the economy as well. With a decreasing fertility rate of 1.53, there are fewer and fewer people entering the labor market. As a result, the labor market will become increasingly tight in the next 25 years. This shortage of workers may cause companies to move away, and a smaller labor market could ultimately lead to an economic slowdown. This is a very real and concerning scenario in Europe with extremely low fertility rates. Global fertility rates have dropped by 50% in the past 70 years due to worldwide development, as people's lives have become more comfortable and their basic needs are already met. There is less of a reason to have many children. Europe and North America have led this trend as the most developed countries with robust social security programs provided by governments. This eliminates the need for children to provide for parents in old age. Consequently, Europe's declining fertility rate can be attributed to its social security program, and this trend may spread to other countries. Europe's solution. Fortunately for Europe, it has an additional solution to its demographic crisis, which is immigration. In 2021, Europe received an approximately 2.3 million immigrants who were substantially younger than the average European at 30 years old on average. As of 2022, 5.3% of the European Union's population were non-EU born individuals. Europe's strategy is clear. It aims to attract young immigrants to address the labor market shortages. For instance, in France, which is currently grappling with an aging population and a problematic pension system, 10% of the population comprises foreign-born individuals. This percentage does not include the children of those immigrants born in France. Many immigrants come from Africa, where fertility rates are higher. France doesn't have to put in much effort to attract immigrants, as they have more opportunities in France than in their home countries. France offers better education systems and higher-paying jobs compared to most African countries, creating a win-win situation. France gets the young labor force it needs, and immigrants get a better future for themselves. Despite its benefits, mass immigration also has its drawbacks. Many people in France and Europe, particularly those who are politically conservative, are concerned about the negative impacts of a large foreign population. They worry that it poses a threat to their country's traditional culture, leads to increased crime rates, and takes away job opportunities from young Europeans. Immigration is a polarizing issue in European countries, as some political parties view it as a solution to their aging population, while others believe that the negative consequences outweigh the positive effects. As a result of this split, immigration may not always be the answer, particularly if fertility rates remain low. For several years, European countries may need to keep welcoming millions of new individuals to their borders. The idea of immigration as a solution to Europe's aging problem is met with opposition from many Europeans, making it difficult for governments to gain political support for it. While immigration may serve as a short-term solution, Europe must address the underlying problem of low fertility rates in the long run. However, there is no simple solution to this problem. Europe needs to find a way to address the issue quickly, as protests in France and elsewhere could potentially grow into larger issues if left unresolved. What do you think? Will Europe collapse under the aging population dilemma? Comment your thoughts below. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay up to date with our latest uploads.